If you work as a manufacturing facilities engineer, installing a new piece of equipment can be as complex as the machinery itself. From prep work to alignment and testing, it's your team's job to put it all together. That's why it's good to have Grainger on your side. With industrial-grade products and next-day delivery, Grainger helps ensure you have everything you need close at hand through every step of the installation. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Going to the gym can be discouraging, especially if you're putting in the work but barely seeing changes. But with Tonal, you can actually see your progress with every workout. Tonal provides the convenience of a full gym and the expertise of a personal trainer anytime at home with one sleek system. Designed to reduce your mental load, Tonal is the ultimate strength training system, helping you focus less on workout planning and more on getting results. No more second-guessing your technique. Tonal gives you real-time coaching cues to dial in your form and help you lift safely and effectively. After a quick assessment, Tonal sets the optimal weight for every move and adjusts in 1-pound increments as you get stronger, so you're always challenged. Tonal lets you choose from a variety of expert-led workouts, from strength to aero hit to yoga and mobility, to keep you coming back for more. For a limited time, go to Tonal.com to get $500 off your Tonal purchase, plus a free 4-year warranty. That's Tonal.com for $500 off, plus a free 4-year warranty. Tonal.com.
Sports Card Nation, the hobby is the people. Weekly news and interviews, it's your number one source. Sports Card Nation, the hobby is the people. Sports Card Nation.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 338 of Sports Card Nation podcast. As always, glad to be back, and today the conclusion of our conversation with Karvin Cheung, who's wore a few different hobby hats. As we spoke last week, this is part 2, and today we get a little bit more into the Exquisite brand, his time at Upper Deck, Panini, whether he wants to see multiple licenses again, and we kind of get his opinion on kind of the current state of affairs as well. So that's what's on the docket today. Quick break, and then we'll be back with Karvin Cheung.
Hobby Hotline is the hobby's only live interactive call-in show. Join some of your favorite hobby personalities every Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, to discuss the hottest hobby topics. If you miss us live, catch us after the fact on all major podcast platforms. Follow us on socials at Hobby Hotline.
Going to the gym can be discouraging, especially if you're putting in the work but barely seeing changes. But with Tonal, you can actually see your progress with every workout. Tonal provides the convenience of a full gym and the expertise of a personal trainer anytime at home with one sleek system. Designed to reduce your mental load, Tonal is the ultimate strength training system, helping you focus less on workout planning and more on getting results. No more second-guessing your technique. Tonal gives you real-time coaching cues to dial in your form and help you lift safely and effectively. After a quick assessment, Tonal sets the optimal weight for every move and adjusts in 1-pound increments as you get stronger, so you're always challenged. Tonal lets you choose from a variety of expert-led workouts, from strength to aero hit to yoga and mobility, to keep you coming back for more. For a limited time, go to Tonal.com to get $500 off your Tonal purchase, plus a free 4-year warranty. That's Tonal.com for $500 off, plus a free 4-year warranty. Tonal.com.
Now to the conclusion of our great conversation with Karvin Cheung. I want to start off here talking about maybe ever seeing multiple companies produce the same sport again, where more than one company holds the licensing. Wearing just the collector hat only, I do miss the days of baseball being produced by multiple companies, but I understand why we are where we are now. I don't, it depends on the day. Some days I like it more than others. Probably, I maybe you feel the same way. Might the players union or the leagues themselves say, hey, it's 40 billion. I'm just making up numbers here. I could be way off. Or it's 40 billion bucks. It's $40 billion. If four manufacturers want to buy in, it's $10 billion a piece. you can produce 22 products a year. Again, I'm just making up even and round numbers. You think that's ever possible, or it's just not worth it to a league or players union to, or is it too hard for them to like police, let's say 4 companies, and I use 4 companies in the 40 billion, just is it too hard to police for them to keep tabs on what 4 companies are doing, where they like it, where they can keep tabs on one?
This is what I would say for if I was, obviously the person that makes the decision on saying there's multiple licenses, that's fine. I'm all for either one, like whether it's an exclusive or whether there's multiple licensee. Obviously, on a personal note, as a collector, I'd want to see, because obviously the company that I work for, I love, is Upper Deck, right? But even Flair, Donruss, Score, it's always good to have multiple choice, right? Like if I had said that from this day on, moving till the day I die, all there is Hershey chocolates, I'm like, if I don't like Hershey chocolates, that's it. Like whether it's Hershey Kisses or Hershey brand type chocolates, right? But I have Lindor with truffles, or I have so I have choice then, right? So having multiple brands have choice. Now, one way around that for these companies is that, hey, you as a company, you can also create multiple brands that addresses different collector bases. So there's that too as well. So there's ways around everything. I've learned a long time ago not to be saying yes or no to everything. It's always a maybe. And how do you get to the maybe, right? By being creative of creating sets, it's also creative of creating brands, creating products, right? So someone taught me, it was my mentor at Upper Deck. He said, Karvin, you just can't say no. When someone asks you for something, you just can't say no. You can say yes, but under these conditions, right? And the conditions could be you have to spend millions of dollars to get to where they wanted to. And I go, that's awesome. And I thought about it more, and he never really explained this to me. I go, this is an awesome idea, because instead of my mind saying shutting it down, right? I have to go, hey, maybe there is a way, and it creates that, now that mind is going to be creative and thinking, man, if I did this and this and this, there is a way, there is a pathway. Like I always give some not ideas, but I always say, hey, even if you don't have a Wemby RPA and National Treasures, I can still create a Wemby. And everyone's like, well, how? Well, I'm not going to tell you how, but I can just tell you I can do it, right? And I go, but the mindset is that it's not something that you're normal. You're not going to see it and say, oh, this is the RPA. But once you kind of figure it out, oh yeah, you're right, Karvin, this is the RPA. So you have to accept it that way. Or let's say creating a licensed Wembayama in the non-licensed products that Fanatics has. I can do that too. I have ideas for that too. Now, once again, it's not the normal mode. But when you start thinking about that, so when Wembayama was signed to an exclusive deal, a week later, I had the idea that Panini can create RPAs for Wembayama. And likewise, I also found ways of creating a licensed card product, or licensed card for Wembayama that would be in their non-licensed product, right? And everyone always asks me, it's like, well, how are you going to do this? Well, that's the $1 million question. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be giving away all my ideas now like I used to when I was at. Right. Yeah. So, but the reason why I say that is not because I can do it or I can't do it. Is that when you're presented a problem, you have to be creative in finding solutions, and that's one way of creating solutions. Right. It's no different than a GM or a capologist that gets the cap numbers, and they're like, well, you know what? We can't sign anybody. No, you can, because you can sign someone, you can trade someone out. Or let's say someone's on long term.
You can ask your existing players to restructure their current deal.
Exactly. Exactly. So all those ideas just with the salary cap has come about because people were trying to get creative of how to beat the salary cap, right? Same thing should be to anything that you do in life. It should be that way of doing it, because it gets to creative just thinking. It makes you think. It makes you get out of your chair and get out of your routine and say, you know what? It's like if someone said, hey, I want you, if JFK said, we want to go to the moon. Did you think JFK said, well, you got to build a rocket, you got to build the pods and throw the pods back in the ocean? Or whether it's fake or not, I don't know. Like, that's another conspiracy theory. But do you think that he was actually building the rockets? No, he said, guys, we got to go to the moon. Find me a way to get to the moon. How do you get to the moon? We're already up in space. How do we get to the moon? What do we have to build? The lunar pod, or whatever the case is, right? And that's how people started getting their creative juices going and saying, this is impossible. Or let's say Tesla with the EV car. When I first heard about Tesla, I was like, are you kidding me? An electric car going at 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds or whatever it was. And he said it could be done. And nobody would say it could be done at that time. Guess what? They got it done. So obviously there is pathways. You have to dream big to be creative. And that's what I would say. If people say no, you say yes, but upon these conditions or upon this way, right? And then you can refine it. You can make it more efficient later. That's all I say.
No, it's a great way of thinking. Should never close the door, right? Unless you have no other choice. It's easy to say no and then brush it away, right? That's easy to do, but to leave that door open and say, how do we make it happen? How does this get done? That's where intelligent thinking comes in, creative minds come in, and it's a great point. And I know you gave your credit to your mentor, but you kind of took it what he said and then even went further with it. So I think if more people thought like that, the world could be probably even a better place. Speaking of a product, that you're always attached to in a fond light, and it's really opened the door. Even people who don't even realize it, right? It's a product that opened the door to a lot of products that we see today, and that's the 0304 Exquisite basketball. For many, they just hear that and they know exactly what we're talking about and the product itself. You're sort of one of the creative geniuses behind that, if you will. But, again, following the category of everyone thinks it's easy, I don't think people realize, some of the push and pull, even involving with that product, which eventually became a huge hit and very successful. It was a nerve-wracking time because at $500 a box, the packaging, even what it was going to be called, eventually settled on Exquisite, but I believe it was going to be called Upper Deck Black, which later became a thing, right?
Right.
So even on the name itself, there was some back and forth, and at the price point at that time, which I know 22 years ago doesn't seem that long ago in the hobby space. That is a long time, and people were not real receptive to that price point, and so you had to convince people and why this product was going to be a winner, which it became. But kind of this is your baby, so I'm just kind of giving some of the cliff notes here, but kind of talk about for people who thought it was just it was easy, it just came to store shelves and people bought it. Was not as simple as that. I'll let you. I did enough rambling on, but go ahead here. Add whatever you kind of fill in the blanks on this particular groundbreaking product. I'll say it because it was.
Yeah. So initially, I was always fascinated with the color black, even though it's not my favorite color. I think it's because, as a kid, I was always husky. So I always wore black because black makes you slim down a bit. It hides some stuff.
Yeah.
So
I'm a big fan of the color black. So I got you.
And also, I'm Chinese by my heritage is Chinese. I would go to Chinese parties and everyone was black, and we all have black hair, dark brown or black eyes. So it's and then at that time in 2001, there was also a few things that why black fascinated me. Number one, the most popular talk show was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and Regis Feldman was famous for wearing his black suits with black ties and black shirt. It was all black on black, right? Also at that same time, the American Express came out with the black card. Previously, the platinum card was the card to get, and if you had one, you had a lot of new friends, right? And unfortunately, they started issuing that and having a membership fee, and then they said, hey, you know what? We're going to create a new black card, Black Centurion card, which I believe you had to spend $1 million to get to that card, or see a politician like that to have access to that black card. Now it's a little bit easier, like the platinum, but it's still extremely exclusive. So I said, man, black is the perfect color. It's the color I like and all that. And I even told our marketing team, we're going to create this product called Black. I wanted to take out a full page ad in the Beckett. Guess what? Magazines were a big deal back then. A full page ad of Beckett, just one page of black and an Upper Deck in the corner, right? And then the next month I would say it's black again, it's coming, right? or get ready. And then at the end, it would be black. Unfortunately, one of the executives didn't like the name and said, nope, can't be black. I go, come on, it's a color. And he's like, exactly, and you cannot use it, right? Back then, I didn't think it would be a big today. There would be a little bit more sense to it. But so he said, no, go back and figure out a name. And I came up with Exquisite, and I actually kind of didn't really like the name for a long time because of what happened. It brings up memories of my arguments and discussions and forcing myself to go to look at, U.S. trademark office, trying to look at all these different names. The one thing that I am kind of fond of, I don't know why, maybe it's subconsciously, is I like using vowels for a lot of my products. So E was definitely interesting, and that's how I picked Exquisite. But to this day, we talked about earlier saying, did I have confidence? I had confidence. I have confidence in all my products, but not all my products did well. So you can't sit there and say, it's for sure a guaranteed winner. What I did know was, we're talking about red and blue and all those Jordan autos that, I said that I'd never seen. And I remember buying my first ever Jordan collection, not when I was at Upper Deck, but prior to me working at Upper Deck, I bought a Jordan collection so that I can have a ball. It cost me $5,000 US. At that time with the exchange, It's like 8,000 Canadian. And I was like, $8,000 to buy a Jordan auto. Well, here's a shot at $500 to auto. And they were pretty frequent and Exquisite. So I always felt that Exquisite would, but I can't really tell people, oh yeah, it's chock full of Jordan autos, because as soon as they say that, you get Jordan autos, it's easy to get a Jordan auto. They're going to expect one in every box, right? So I can't say that. So, but I think people kind of figured it out afterwards. Like there's a lot of LeBron autos and a lot of Jordans based on, any other product that you buy. So, but there's a lot more to Exquisite than just that. There's a lot, the finite details that, people like, but they don't know how it's done, or they don't how to describe it. There's some subconscious things like the names and all that. So, and everyone says, well, how did you come up with these ideas? I go, at the end of the day, I'm as truest to the form of a collector as everyone else is, right? And little did I know, like when I created the cards, I go, oh man, I'm going to love these cards. And when I saw them, I love the cards. Little did I know that the cards that I would love, a lot of collectors like too. So, so at the end of that, I may be creative in terms of coming up with the name. I'm creative coming up with the designs and all that. But whatever I saw it in the eye of a collector. And I'm just happy. I'm just so grateful that collectors see it the same way.
Well, I think that's important to note. I think that there's something to be learned. I think there's something to be learned from that. Who better to design a product, right, than somebody who collects themselves? I think,
right,
because you're going to design. I think I don't want to say all collectors think the same. That's not true, but I think we all have similar, things we like. So I think the problems happen when someone designs a product that isn't in the hobby or isn't in the trenches, so to speak, right? And so I think that was something that gave you an advantage, as it should be. And if you ask me, hey, John, someone can design this product that's been in the hobby a long time as a collector, or someone that's just went to art school or a sports fan, that one's a layup for me. I'm going to take the hobby person who loves the hobby, who's passionate about the hobby, because they're gonna have more hits than swings and misses in my book, and they're gonna do a better job. And so I think that gave you an advantage. I know you've spoken previously, to some of the store owners being sort of reluctant or hesitant about the product. How about internally at Upper Deck themselves, where people, like you said, you were confident, hey, I think we can do this.
Right.
What was the general feeling in the room, so to speak?
Well, so majority of the people that work in the card companies aren't even card collectors. They don't understand cards. They don't understand people paying thousands for cards. You got graphic designers. You got project managers, marketing people. You got pre-press people. So they don't. 90% of people to 95% don't understand the pricing of cards and aren't card collectors. So let that be the first thing. In fact, a lot of the executives don't even understand the mentality of a collector. So until you start talking to them to things that they collect, that's the way to get to. So I would say those are some of my areas where I like to change the collectible or change something to them and explain to them. So if someone likes to collect watches, I go, well, what about a John Mayer watch? Or let's say a Daytona, right? Oh, they go, oh yeah, Daytona. I love Daytonas. Or, what if I said there was a Patek Nautilus watch and a Tiffany blue, right, which goes for like $6 million. Like, can you imagine yourself getting on? Well, let's equate that to the logo man that we're talking about. Now you got their attention, right? When we pitch ideas to executives that don't understand trading cards, well, you got to come up with a different type of metaphor or an idea and tell them, like, what if it was in this one? Then you'd be all for it. Yes, I would be all for it. So those are the ways of reaching other people to understand what sports cards is all about. At the end of the day, it's always about demand and supply and demand, right? So the prices are there based on the demand of the collectible. Whether sports cards is just a medium that we're looking at, the one that we are focused on, right? It could be fine wine, it could be diamonds, it could be watches, it could be cars, shoes, old books. They're all the same. I hate to say it, like when we as collectors, we have the same emotions. If I get a nice watch that I never thought, I have to have the same emotion as someone getting a Grail card. The emotion's the same, right? The euphoria, the dopamine hits, and all that stuff. It's all the same. So when you talk to someone else that's outside of our hobby, try to talk in their terms, try to make them understand. So that was part of the pitch that I had to do on the people at Upper Deck. But even then, people thought I was crazy. They always thought that I was at Panini. I got called the mad scientist of all the ideas I have, right? Because people understand, why would you do this? Why would you do this? Why, and at the end of the day, I go, instead of saying why to me, why don't you say how and if? Yep. So how to get to where we want to be, and if it's successful. Because if it's successful, even if I don't want to do it again, you're going to make me do it again, or you're going to get someone else to do it, right? So those are the questions: is how to be successful, and if it's successful, what is the end result? We'll do it again then. When we did Exquisite, I pitched it as a one-time only product because LeBron rookie, and something that questioned me was like, "Oh, you had the best class, And I said, yeah. And he goes, what if you did Exquisite in 0203? Or what if you did Exquisite in 0405? But I didn't. And they're like, yeah, but what if you did? I go, it would never happen. The only reason why Exquisite existed was because of LeBron, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, when I created the 0304 Exquisite, they're like, oh, dude, you put two logo mans together. Look at all that space. You couldn't get an autograph? Like, come on. You can't come up with a better idea. I'm like, and I was like, it's going for $40,000 for the Kobe LeBron at that time. And I go, why would I put an autograph on there? I go, number one, it takes up more time. It could be a redemption, and that's a bummer, right? To have a redemption. And I go, but here's the key. If I had to come back with another Exquisite in 0405, you don't think I'd bring that idea back with the two autos? Obviously, when I'm building products, I always have I don't know, for some reason, I always have all these ideas, like that black book ideas we're talking about, right? All those ideas I have in my black book. I have all these ideas where this product doesn't need it. Let's wait and see if this performs well. And every year I want to change it up a little bit. I want to change it up. I don't want to pick up the exact same thing, and I want to add some new ideas. So what did I do in 0405? I had the dual logo man autographs. I had the triple logo man, right? And then on top of it, I added one of my favorite inserts. I believe it's in 05. It's Exquisite Titleist. But then Titleist only existed in 0405. And 0506, we changed it to something else. So I want every product to be almost distinct in its own. Now, yes, it may make one product way better than the other ones because people like those inserts, but it's also, there's some distinctness to every single product. Like, here's the thing about PMGs. Yes, Upper Deck has done so many PMGs, which is exactly the same, the green, the red, and Looney Tunes, and Marvel, now DC, AEW, and multiple years of hockey. But here's the funny thing about green and red PMGs. It only existed in the 1 year. That's it.
Yeah.
That was the distinct year. And I'm not doubting that you shouldn't bring it back. You should bring it back. But once again, it was only in that 1 year. And after that 1 year, it was so distinct in everyone's memory. Essential Credentials with the green and the pink, or turquoise and red, if you want to call it, that's only the 1 year. And yet everyone's chasing those cards. So yes, it gives more credits to those years, but at the same time, it's unique. I like that.
Yeah, and I think it's a great point, Karvin.
I want to try on the light here. So.
Time for a quick break, but we'll be right back.
Iron Sports Cards is your #1 source for all your PSA and other grading submissions. Their elite status improves turnaround times, Heck, they even provide the card savers. Their chat rooms provide updates on all your submissions. They also offer wax options and single cards to cover all the bases. Check them out on Facebook at Iron Sports Cards Group or on the web at ironsportscards.com, or even give them a call at 1-877-IRON-PSA. Rob's got you covered.
Sports Card Nation has returned.
Sometimes I think companies can overdo something, right? If something's good, they hit on something, and then it's like, they beat that horse to death. I think there's something to be said. And like you said, each innovation of the product brought a new thing kind of to that year. And like you mentioned, I thought about that. Like, what a terrific year for Exquisite to come out, right? LeBron James, right. Our guy here in Syracuse, Carmelo Anthony, and Wade. Like, it's a great rookie class. But and I'm giving you credit here because you deserved it. You had the foresight. That product was built because of that rookie class. So someone to say, well, why didn't it come out the year before? Because it wasn't time for that product to be birthed. And so, you got to be smart. You got to make smart decisions. And then when that smart decision's made, you got to give that person the credit. And in this case, it's you. You knew this. You kind of saw this train coming down the track, and you got on board with a great product. Risky, right? But you were willing to take that risk because you knew, hey, if this thing's a winner, it's going to be a big winner. It's not just going to be a winner. This thing is going to be like hobby precedent. Did you realize in the moment, in those early, the years, how big of an impact this product was going to be, or not necessarily?
Well, initially, no other company did the higher end. It definitely helps having exclusives. At the time, we had Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Ron James. And then that's for another time to discuss things that I worked with our team to acquire the proper athlete name. So, I mean, I would say that while during my time at Upper Deck, we had the best names: Durant, whether it's Kobe, even Kevin Garnett. We had Yao Ming exclusive, so it was a great time to be able to scout ahead of time. So, and I take that to today. Like, I still look at like the class 2 years from now. Like, I'll tell people, like, next year's not this year with Cooper Flag. Everyone knows about Cooper Flag, but the next 4 big names next year is AJ DeBonsa and the Boozer twins. That's Carlos' two children, and then the other one is Darren Peterson. Right, those are probably potentially 4 of the top 7 picks. Right, with 3 of them being probably the top 3. So, and I knew about this class with Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey and Cooper Flag and Wembayama Long like years ago. I mean, these guys are being scouted when they're 14 years old, 15 years. Yeah. So, and if people want a website to go to NBADraft.net. So NBADraft.net is my go-to place during the whole LeBron years, and it's still my go-to place for the initial look at all these international players, high school freshmen. So. It's all marketing. At that point, it's all marketing. Seeing that LeBron was going to be the impact. I remember, like, he was the first player to be on an SI cover. First high school player to be on an SI cover. That's where I saw it first, right? The Chosen one. I'll always remember that cover. And on top of that, his first ever battle or first ever game against Carmelo was St. Vincent St. Mary against Oak Hill. And I believe they lost to Oak Hill. Carmelo beat them. So, and then after that, for his senior year at St. Vincent St. Mary, he was televised every single game almost on ESPN2. And so you knew it was a huge phenomenon.
And that was not common for high school basketball games to be on a major network like that. So, times were changing. Like I said, you had the foresight. Like, even though this was getting coverage, it's one thing, watching him play, right? But to develop the product based on kind of what you saw in advance, no one else did it, right? So
just to give you something that I did in 2002, All right, so I knew that the class, everyone, if you looked at NBADraft.net, and then after the workout that Darko had with the Detroit Pistons, and they went to the finals that year, it was always slated that the top 4 to 5 picks, like D Wade came on after the Final Four, right? Because I believe they beat Connecticut, I believe.
I think
Elite Eight. So they get into the Final Four. And guys like T.J. Ford, Kirk Heinrich, and all those other guys, they came up like also as part of the Final Four. But Darko, what's interesting about Darko is that I said to our legal counsel, I said, hey, maybe we should get Darko signed to it. And this is in 2002, a year before the draft, right? And they're like, why? And I go, well, first off, check if he has a new. So I go, I think there's a lot of new agents that have the access to European players. And sure enough, they said, yeah. But this is that initially they didn't want to do a deal because they said, hey, you can't do a deal with them. I go, why? He's a professional. He's playing in Europe. And they're like, oh, so what we can offer is a boatload of money up front. And then he signs an exclusive autograph deal, a handshake. No one knows about it until someone else, like LeBron. So we did that deal almost like 9 months before the draft, and no one knew about it because I think that Darko is going to be a highly collectible player, but I would love to have the first 3. And in fact, Carmelo Anthony signed an exclusive deal with Upper Deck. He signed a deal. Then that was before LeBron signed with Upper Deck, and then LeBron's story with Upper Deck's deal was broadcasted by Stuart Scott at 11 o'clock East Coast time, and stating that that was the opening of Sports Center was LeBron has signed his first endorsement with Upper Deck. Call Upper Deck, then one name company with Mike, with MJ, Kobe, Ichiro. We had everyone, Tiger, right? And then they were announced that they said, the numbers expected was 5 years for $5 million. And what I heard the story was, the rumor is that was substantiated by anybody else. They said Carmelo basically called up LeBron and said, hey, is this true, the numbers? And LeBron, I don't know what LeBron said, but probably, it probably is. I don't know the details, right? The next day, we got a call from his agent. Hey, Carmelo's ripping up the deal. He's not doing the exclusive, right? Or otherwise, we would have had the exclusive top 3 in that. So they ripped up the deal. Basically said, look, Carmelo's threatening. Said, okay, for the basis of our ruling, go ahead. And I think we ended up paying him more money than he would have gotten. I would have given more money for Carmelo for exclusivity. At the time, it's tough because we weren't expecting to pay $1 million for LeBron either back in 2003. Yeah. Now it seems like nothing, right? But back then it was a tough deal.
That's what I'm saying. It's tough to compare errors, but obviously that product stands alone to this day, and we can look at some of the products we have today, Karvin, and say, hey, they may not be here if it wasn't for Exquisite. And so I know you've talked about that a lot, but deservedly so, because I don't think people realize I don't want to say going out on a limb, but it was a risky proposition, right? And nothing, like you said, you not everything you did was a hit, but this was a big ticket item with a big price tag, and so had it not been, thankfully it was, but had it not been, hindsight being 20, had it not been a success, it would have been a bigger hit. Not being a success, and right. On the same token, being a hit and being a success, it's even bigger for the same reason. So I think I know you probably tired, sometimes probably tired of talking about it, but I think it's also your baby, so you're proud of it. You're proud of it too. That's important to know. But last question. I don't ask this of every guest. I kind of pick my guests here on the question. Mm-hmm. It's not a real item, but in for the show it is. I call it the Hobby Magic Wand. I give it to certain guests. I'm giving it to you. You only get one hobby wish. You can't wish for 3 more hobby with it. Can't use it for that way. So you can do whatever you want with it. Wish for it. It's like I Dream of Genie, but you get one, and it has to be hobby related. Something you don't want to see any more of, you want to see more of, an item you want. It's your Hobby Magic Wand. What are you doing with it?
Well, I always look at the hobby as the hobby has been, I've been blessed with the hobby. It's given a lot to me And what I would want to see is more products really designed with the collector. It's more about creating those cards that people want, the aesthetics, the rarity, the products that deliver, and that's what it is. We want the collectors to have the true hobby. I always say that there's three types of value. There's the perceived value when you open a pack and it's a number out of 100, and you're looking at comps or number to 100 could be $100 or it could be $10, right? But you're like, oh, I got $100 card, so open packs. And then there's the real value where when you sell the card, or that this is the right comps for these cards, that's the real value. But more than anything else, I always call it the entertainment experience. I really want the hobby to take note how to open a box of cards. Maybe not join. Sometimes you don't always have to join breaks. Open a box of cards and experience touching the cards and enjoying it, whether it's with friends, family, other collectors, and really collecting something that you truly want to collect, not because everyone else is, right? Chances are, like I said, when I created cards, I create cards that I want to collect, and guess what? Other people want to collect them, right? And be a leader, be that person to say, I want to collect that, right? But also with that in mind, understand the true hobby trends, understand what is a rookie card, what isn't a rookie. Don't get fooled. Don't fall for false narratives, right? And if you need to, you can always reach out to John. You can always reach out to me. You can always find other people, be mentors to help you treat you the right way. Because the problem is that if you start following narratives that other people have and it's wrong, you're gonna feel burned and you're gonna feel deceived, and we don't want anyone to leave you. We want to embrace you all, but make sure that you understand with some education, some mentorship to help you look at what you really want to collect, and don't fall for what other people want. Only collect what you. That's what my book is.
I love it. Well said. And it's a great point too, right? This is your hobby, your collection. You're we're each the CEO of what we collect in the hobby, right? And that's the one great thing about the hobby. Well, there's a lot of great, but one of the great things about the hobby, there are a lot of people, yourself, myself, and many others that will try to help people out, right? Not tell people what to do, but just, hey, think about this, or here's what I think about that. But at the end of the day, you have to make the decision that's best for how you want a hobby, how your collection, how you want build your collection. Sometimes every once in a while, someone will message me, Karvin, like, hey, John, I'm getting a little burnt out, or I'm thinking about getting out. And I don't like you just said, I don't want them to leave. I'll just say, listen, nothing wrong with taking a break. Don't even do anything hobby-wise for 3 months, 4 months, 2 weeks, whatever you deem you need to decompress, and then come back and see if you miss it. Chances are you're probably going to, right? And then come back. Or, hey, I just don't like the direction I'm going in with my hobby. Try something different. Try something you maybe thought about. Pivot to hobby a different way, right? Rather than just leave. But if someone, you've tried different things, and if it's not enjoyable, then that's something else. But there's different ways to go about it.
So I do have a personal hobby wand that I would like.
All right, go ahead.
So here's my personal hobby wand. The last product I created was 2014. Or no, 2012-13 was the last true product I that was called Immaculate. And if you guys want to read my Instagram, you know the story how Immaculate collection came about. It's actually a tribute to Madonna, which Madonna's first ever greatest hits album was called Immaculate. She was a favorite of mine when I was a DJ, so that's why there's the acetate resembles vinyl. So going back to some of my products have stories behind them, even going to Exquisite Black, other sets too. What I would like to bring back to the hobby is because if my story isn't finished yet, and I haven't different card set, so I would love to be able to come back, and which hopefully will even be better than Immaculate, other brands like or Cup Hockey. So something unique and innovative, and hopefully spur up some interest in the hobby again.
Well, I'd be first in line for that, or sign the petition to make it happen. Carver, I think, listen, the track record's there. It speaks for itself. Right. You don't even have to say nothing. You could just name the products, say, hey, I was involved in that, and that should be enough to most. And, like you said, innovation and thought process is all important. You've shown, a track record of getting that done and thinking outside the box, thinking maybe even in advance of time, 1 or 2 years. So I think the proof is in the pudding, as the cliche goes, but it's true. So hopefully that's the case. And this was I had a blast. While I knew certain things, I learned some more stuff as always. And that's what the hobby's about. I don't care how long you've been in this hobby. I learn something new every day. I'm sure you do too. And the minute I always joke with people, the minute I stop, it means I'm not paying attention or I don't care anymore. And that's probably a sign it might be time to hang up the card, so to speak. So hopefully not happening anytime soon. And I'd love to have you back on. I know we can get even more in depth with we get into like you mentioned, some contract stuff and all that. So, but again, Karvin, should have had you on sooner. My bad, but better late than never. And thank you for sharing. I give the guest always kind of the final word. Give out any social media, website, anywhere you want to share with those listening to check out. Put that stuff out there.
Well, I mean, obviously, you guys can DM me on Instagram at KARVIN15. If you want to reach out and say hi or ask any questions, you can. There are certain things that I will not for your information, but it's for my information, but not everyone else's information.
That's right.
With that being said, just love the hobby, man. We all want to embrace you. We all enjoy people, everybody involved. We love the content that you guys create, but also be careful of the false narratives, right? Just, if it's hobby trends and these are good ways of, advising people how to collect, that's the way to do. Be careful providing them the wrong way. And, if you need to ask questions, I always trust basically the hobby trends. And a lot of these trends were set back in the days in the 90s or even throughout the 2000s. We have inserts and all the RPAs and all that. Follow that so that, the last thing we want to see is people not getting what they wanted. So, and once again, collect, what you like. Don't listen to everyone to tell you what to collect or what to buy. You make your own decisions, collect what player you want, and move on. I mean, be part of the community, be a strong supporter of the community, and that's it.
Yeah, nothing I can add to that, man. That's well said and rings true. And it's your collection. You gotta like it. It's not anyone else's, and you're spending your money on it. So hopefully you do enjoy it and you like it. So not much to add on there. That truer words can't be spoken. So thanks again, Karvin.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, what a great conversation with Karvin. Guy is, number one, smart, sharp as a whip, and, remembers these things like yesterday because he was right there in the trenches getting things done. Again, should have had him on sooner. That's on me. We've talked. It just, I don't know, I dragged my feet. So bad on me, but glad we had him on and love to have him back. And I think we will get more into like some of the stories, kind of the behind the scenes, a little more specifics even with some of the products and maybe things you didn't know as well. So, still active in the hobby, still has a passion and loves the hobby, and that's awesome. So thanks to Karvin for making some time and sharing some of his insights. We're going to hear from our Hobbies the People announcer and then wrap up this week's episode.
Time for our Hobby is the People announcer of the week.
Hello, collectors. This is Ed Green from Sacred Home Sports Cards. Remember, the hobby is the people.
If you'd like to be the Hobby is the People announcer of the week, do a WAV or MP3 file and send it to sportscardnationpc@gmail.com.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
For nearly 50 years, Sports Collectors Digest has been the voice of the hobby, bringing you comprehensive coverage of the sports collectible industry. From industry news, auction results, market analysis, and in-depth stories about collectors and their collections, Sports Collectors Digest has everything you need to know about the hobby. SCD is also your leading source for listings of sports collectible dealers, card shops, card shows, and the latest from the industry's top companies. To check out all the latest news or to subscribe to the hobby's oldest magazine, visit sportscollectorsdigest.com or call 1-800-829-5561.